tribe. Safest place you'll be in life. For this land I'm singing this song. On the side is where I belong. Together build advance. That's the motto. My land, my sweet homeland. 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 Grenada, 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 Grenada. Together building a fire, together taking it higher is all our way. A sight to say. Together building a fire, together taking it higher is all our way. A sight to say.
I'm proud, I'm strong. I am a Grenadian. Yes, man. Grenada, Grenada, the land where I was born. I know you were suffering. Men have raped you and abused you and left you there crying. I devote my heart, my body and my soul. I stretch forth my helping hand to help you out. I haven't got diamond, silver, nor even gold, but blessings I give to east, west, north and south. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support. Right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eyes. Oh yeah. Dun, dun. It's quite a long time now since you have fallen back to the last rung of the ladder, and your neighbors stand up there and uttering no talk, but to help they just don't bother. Some of your friends have turned their backs on you. They don't want to see a friend with your name on it. Don't bother with them. One day you will rise up too. Cause in times to come is the bread they might have to eat. Listen, let me go. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support. Right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eyes. Let we go. Listen, it's time that we take a stand to defend your position from all those smart reef-off scam who just come to take a bite make their own decision and boast to the world that they are the reigning champ. While your friends them happy, had times they were going through, they still wouldn't help you out if you beg them please. But woe unto them, little do they know that a good name is better than great riches. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eye. Let you down, oh no. I'll always be your support right here by your side. With a big festival to wipe your weeping eye. Let we go. If you feel the pain like me, feel free to say I love my country. Oh yeah. Grenada. Oh, I love you, Grenada. I'll always be right by your side, Grenada. Oh, why, Grenada? Grenada, Grenada, Grenada. Grenada.
Looking back 5 decades ago, it's really not that long. Before you blink, it's the next 5 more, just so 1 century done. Cause time does fly and people change, nothing is ever sure. But if one thing we can all agree, Grenada was here before. It was about 2 million years ago. Grenada came from a volcano, and tribal people lived on this land. Then the French and the British came back.
Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated. Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Pleasant afternoon to citizens across Grenada, including Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and all Grenadians returning to us here on this very auspicious occasion, celebrating 50 years of our independence, and also all guests and well-wishers on the island at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring to you this afternoon a press conference by the new National Party as we approach our glorious celebration of 50 years of independence on the 7th of February. That's just 2 days ago. I now turn and welcome To start the charge, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the political leader of the New National Party. Dr. Mitchell?
Yeah, thank you, Shamra, and of course, special good afternoon to all our listeners throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and of course, Grenadians at all parts of the world, because we know they exist all over the place, and friends of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And of course, with me this afternoon, my dear friends, the members of the elected House of Representatives, Sister Kate Lewis, to my extreme left, Sister Clarice Modest Cohen, to my next left, and to my right is Sister Emmeline Pear, and to right. It's for the first time Peter is getting the definition of right. So I just want to welcome everybody and welcome members of the press. And clearly, this is a very historic occasion because, let's face it, when you become 50 years, that must be a significant part of your life. So this is indeed a very significant part of the life of our country. And therefore, having this press briefing here today must be seen in that particular context. So, friends, I am happy to make the following statement as an opening statement. When I'm completed this opening statement, Sister Kate will then address some specific issues, then Sister Clarice Modest Cohen, Sister Emmeline Pear, and Peter David, and then I will conclude with my own statement on the present atmosphere facing our country and the independence celebration in general. So as we draw closer to the climax of this celebration, which of course goes further than the 7th, but up to the 7th, of our 50th year of independence, the New National Party wishes all Grenadians, Carriacouians, and Petit Martinicans at home and abroad a very happy independence. The theme of our celebration, as you recall, is one people, one journey, one future, extremely appropriate. It speaks clearly of the bonds that unite us as a people. It confirms the words of our national anthem, which says, putting heads, hearts, and hands in unity to achieve our destiny, unquote. So friends, brothers and sisters all, it is in this spirit that as an organization, we pause today to salute all Grenadians, Carriacouians, Petit Martinicans, who have paved the way and contributed significantly to our achievements over the years. I recall even this morning, a while or 2 hours ago, I was addressing some young students at a primary school, and I told them it's not just the persons of certain categories in the society we're talking about. I tell them even the garbage collectors, we have to remember them, because if they don't pick up the garbage and make our place clean, some of us may not be living as long as we are right now. So we have to significantly recognize all our citizens who have contributed all aspects of life of our country, including, of course, the media. This year, this, of course, includes our political leaders who have served over the years, and the movers and shakers of our society, and the unsung heroes who have made their contributions too. I therefore encourage everyone, as we celebrate this significant milestone in our nation's history, we should take time out to appreciate all those who have paved the way and gave human services. There is so much we can be proud of. Let us take time to reflect on our collective journey, our resilience, and the vibrant spirit that defines us as a people. I wish to specifically mention at this time, we can't do this without saying so, the father of our independence, Sir Eric Matthew Gary, whose determination and courage in the face of difficulties at that time of seeing our birth, giving meaning to this great achievement that we celebrate today. As we move beyond the celebrations, let us carry forward the spirit of our independence with a commitment to addressing the needs of our people, fostering economic resilience, and ensuring that every Grenadian, Carriacouian, and Petite Martinique feels valued and wished to be heard. The NNP stands ready to contribute to a dialogue if we are asked, and actions that prioritize the well-being and prosperity of our people. There's been our history. There's been our DNA, consistently so, over the years. While we do have some serious concerns about issues related to the celebrations, we commit to address those issues in the near future. And as a former Prime Minister of this country for 23 years, I thank God and thank the people of Grenada for those years of service. And I am happy to have contributed to the social and economic transformation of our country, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. I'm also wishing to thank all those who have served with me over the years. Some have even passed on to the great beyond. Their contribution must never be forgotten. I now invite, therefore, my colleagues to make their contribution. As I said, when they are both all finished, I will close with my own contribution on the issues that I wanted to raise. Thank you all. Good afternoon, everybody. I look forward to the rest of this important session.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We also want to recognize those from the media that are on with us at this time on Zoom platform, and we have with us Calistro Farrier here as the lone media personnel in the room. It is my pleasure to introduce Kate Lewis to address you at this time.
Thank you very much, Shama, and good afternoon to our political leader and my other elected members of the House of Representatives. It is indeed a pleasure to address everyone, members of the media, those who are listening via the different platforms. It's a pleasure as we commemorate and celebrate this important occasion in the history of our beloved country. That 50th celebration, our golden jubilee of our nation's independence, is a very important milestone. And it is very important that we take and pay tribute to the father of independence, Sir Eric Gary. His vision and determination paved the way for the freedom that we enjoy today. And indeed, we owe him a debt of gratitude. Sir Eric was born in St. Andrew, the parish of St. Andrew, and of course, the village of Dunfermline, to be exact. My constituency office is located in that same village. And his commitment towards the cause of independence, his dedication to the people of Grenada, will forever be etched in our hearts. We remember him, his self-confidence, his smiles, and his unwavering belief in the divine plan for Grenada. He was a school teacher, a union organizer, and of course a politician. His testament to his relentless pursuit for a better future for our nation. Sir Eric, dedication to the cause of independence led him to forming the Grenada United Labour Party, of which I remember my dad being a very active member of that party, and maybe that is what led to my entrance into this whole political arena as well, having that history towards the politics from since then. Today we honor Sir Eric Matthew Gary, and we must reflect on the progress we have made as a nation, as one people. And throughout those 50 years, the new National Party has played a very important role in the significant transformation over the years. So I want to focus on some of the achievements of our party on the youth and sports, youth development and sports. Under the leadership, of course, our political leader, Dr. Mitchell, and with the hard work and commitment from people such as the past Adrian Spaceman Mitchell, may his soul rest in peace. Of course, my colleague sister who is sitting here, Sister Emmeline Pear, and all those who have contributed the hard work of the youth officers, the people who work at the ministry during our tenure, and so forth, have all played that pivotal role. So we just wish to highlight some of our achievements during those times. We speak about the establishment of the Grenada the Youth Development Center and the Division of Youth. Now we speak about a Ministry of Youth. But those who have been there from the early stages will tell you that there was no Ministry of Youth, there was no Division of Youth, and there was no budgetary allocation towards youth development. But with the impact of the new National Party, understanding what we need to do to enhance and empower our young people, you see today we have a Ministry of Youth, and in some cases a Division of Youth with substantial budgetary allocation to run youth programs. We have increased staffing in youth at this moment, where you have members of staff working to develop programs, develop projects, and so to empower and employ our young people. We had several introduction of diplomas and certificates, CVQ for youth work, youth and social work, and even for our young participants who were involved at the CVQ level, receiving CVQs from levels 1 up to level 4 in a wide variety of areas, that they too can make a living for themselves today. The creation of several youth programs, and of course the flagship program, the flagship youth program still remains, the new Imani program. And we can remember vividly many young people graduated from high school, from secondary school, college, and so forth, and they were told they were limited in their employment opportunities simply because of the lack of experience. This is one of the reasons that gave birth to the new Imani program, giving young people that opportunity to receive training on the job skills training and job opportunities for the young people. So here we had the new Imani program that today, as I said, remains a flagship program for youth development in Grenada. Many young people benefited from it, moving from one low level to a high level, empowering themselves by skills development, university degrees, and so forth. And we acknowledge that this program has and had its many challenges, but we cannot deny the fact that it contributed to the empowerment and development of many of our young people throughout the Tri-Island state of Grenada. We also had a youth entrepreneurship program very early. When the youth program was developed, it was called the Grenada Youth Investment Initiative. However, over the years, it was rebranded into Youth Biz, Young People in Business, creating that opportunity for young entrepreneurs to source funding for the new businesses to expand their businesses. We also had the Business Support Center in St. Mark that gave them a place where they can go to get business support. And of course, we partnered with the Grenada Development Bank, so they were able to get the grant funding and loan initiatives up to $25,000 at the time. I'm not sure if these things still exist, but the young entrepreneurs got the opportunity. They received training and financing support to develop and enhance their youth businesses. We speak about Project Empower. Empower was specially designed for our young men, especially those who were on the blocks, those who dropped out of school and lost hope in the system. Project Empower gave them the opportunity to get a second chance to develop new skills and to be better citizens contributing to nation building. Project Fly, Project Reach at Her Majesty's Prison. So a variety of programs were created over the years targeting every young person, those incarcerated as well as those who have been making their contributions towards our development and so. So we cannot celebrate 50 years without recognizing the hard work and contribution of the new National Party towards youth development. In sports, we can speak about one of the major, there are many achievements, but we like to highlight the Kirani James Athletic Stadium and the National Cricket Stadium, of course, giving young people that platform where they can be seen and use a facility at the international level, of course, enhancing their ability. And that is why we have people like the Kirani James today, because they receive the necessary resources and equipment to thrive and to do better. So we are happy from the new National Party standpoint that as we celebrate 50 years as one people, we have to recognize the contribution towards youth development in this country, the contribution and the significant role that the new National Party plays. We remain committed as a party to youth development, and we pledge our continued support for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate Lewis Peters. And we now hand you over to Clarice Modest. Of course, folks, those of you who are just joining us, this is the new National Party's press conference as we approach 7th February, the glorious 50th Independence celebration. Madam?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I want to single out our political leader, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell, and my other colleagues at this head table. We have gotten together to present this press conference, which I will speak to a little later. But I want to also greet all Grenadians at home and abroad, and especially those who are visiting. I like the touch of having our Grenadians come back for our 50th anniversary. To our media personnel out there, and permit me to single out my dear sister Callistra from St. Mark. She has been performing very well, and I'm happy to have her in the room. But to all of those who could not make it, a pleasant good afternoon to all of you who have seen it fit to join us at this time. Happy 50th anniversary to all of us Grenadians. So I am particularly pleased to be a part of this press conference because 50 years is a great milestone, and so much has been achieved that I think it behooves us as a party to share some light on certain things, as well as to say thank you and recognize all of those who have gone before and contributed. Also, a large part of our population, they're under 50 years. And we, the older ones, if we do not share, then a chunk of our history would be left behind. So the journey has to be told, how we got here, how we achieved what we achieved, and so that we learn not to take everything we see for granted, but to appreciate the contributions of every one of governments, successive governments who have gone before, and a number of individuals who have played their role. We are thankful for that, and I hope that over this whole year of celebrations, that we as a party and we as a nation would find time to recognize those who have gone before. Maybe some are alive, but a number of them would have departed from this side of the world. But we cannot forget our history. Otherwise, we would pay a heavy price for that. So I'm happy to be a part of the history sharing at this time. I want to agree with my dear sister Kate Peters, Louis Peters, when she said that we cannot forget the father of independence. I always call him Uncle Gary. That's how my mother used to call him. And, you know, I fondly remember him through her eyes, Uncle Gary. And he's the father of independence. And he had made this contribution. As a matter of fact, achieving independence when he did was not an easy feat. He had some struggles, and he overcame it and got independence for us. That opened the way for us to have, to chart our own way, our destiny, and to bring us to this 50 years. So whatever would have happened over the years started off with Sir Eric Matthew Gary. And, you know, I just want to express my appreciation for that which he would have done. As a medical professional, I want to single out the St. George's Medical School. That was then. It has blossomed into St. George's University, offering a number of areas of studies that we would not have had. And when he conceived the idea of the offshore school, then a very uncommon thing in the region, I'm not sure how many of the Caribbean islands would have had then. No, it's a common thing, but it wasn't then. And, you know, he took a bold step there. And look at where we are today. How many of our people have graduated? He started off with scholarships. I know in our time we would have renegotiated and gotten more scholarships. I know this gentleman sitting on my right was never satisfied with the number of scholarships and was always interested in the development of our human resources. And we did get a lot out of that. Unfortunately, a number of those who benefited, they're outside, but, you know, everybody can't stay, and we're not against them for that. But I always would like to see a significant number stay back to make their own contribution. So tremendous benefits were gained from that. I also remember Land for the Landless, because specifically in St. Mark, poor people didn't own land before. You see, people are born to parents who may be of humble, you know, beginnings, or even their lives, their lifestyle are still humble, but they have lands. And a lot of it is due to him. So I want to single out that as an important achievement in several parts of the island, but specifically for St. Mark, a number of us benefited from that. Housing projects. I think that started off with Uncle Gary. Bonner in St. Mark. And lovely housing project, a nice area. And over the years, persons would have built up, you know, maybe the houses were built on tall pillars, and they have, you know, expanded on that. River Road housing project, Frequente housing project in Grand Anse. And then I think he paved the way, and that is the importance of our history. For when NNP came, we continued with housing projects, and a number of housing projects would have been built. The one in St. George's near Queen's Park. Of course, the Diamond Estate got another in St. Mark, another 2 housing projects. NNP built another few houses in Frequente, over 20. I well recall the Lacalome project in St. David's. I know it has had its challenges, but that project, in collaboration with the Venezuelans, was as a response to the need, the great onslaught of that need for housing right after Hurricane Ivan. And, you know, I want to express my thanks to that country for having done that, and I know it is serving a great purpose. So presently, we have 5 housing projects that are due to be distributed. St. David's, Boucherville, St. Mark, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and St. Patrick. 5 projects. Over 600 units. So we look forward to that. I can't relate here all of the achievements of Sir Eric, but he started certain things and we have followed. Of course, we won't follow everything that every government would have done, but he did enough for us to follow. So that started a serious tourism business in Grenada. The St. George's University accommodations came up for the students as well as family visits. That built it up, and if you go in the areas near to St. George's University, we will see the kind of infrastructural developments. The supermarkets, when you go in the south, they're filled with locals as well as persons who are here either on visit or students. The vendors for local foods all around the campus, you can see persons selling. So the business would have received a great injection from that. Then I want to move now to NNP achievements. And I want to compliment, again, Leader of the Opposition for re-establishing relationships with Cuba and the many benefits in terms of medical and educational that we have received from the Cubans. And I want to say my thanks to the Cuban government, the Venezuelan government, and so for the contributions they would have made in terms of collaboration between them and certain things that they would have achieved for us. Under tourism, I recall that we made the 500,000, 500,000 mark for tourism under NNP. Visitors coming into our island. 500,000 may sound small, but for a small population, if we are 100,000, we receive 5 times in 1 year the number of tourists as our population. So this is a great achievement. Flights, daily flights with American from Miami. At one time, there were no flights. At one time, there were the occasional flights. Now we have daily flights. And then added to that, we have flights from Charlotte with American as well. Daily flights with JetBlue and other airlines that would have provided services before, and so on. Hotels, a number of them, just, to name a few, the Sandals, the Silver Sands, Six Senses, Intercontinental, and so on, the Liver Project. A number of them would have come up because of the groundwork we laid for tourism and how we marketed our country. And we cannot forget the contribution that the people of our country would have made, because when you do surveys and you ask, what is it you like most about Grenada? What brings you here? And they say the friendliness of the people. So everybody contributes to tourism. Airbnb is growing. We have world-class marinas, Port Louis, and others. In terms of health, under NNP, we have had a general upgrade of the General Hospital. We have the Gulf Polyclinic, the Victoria Medical Station in terms of infrastructure, and many other clinics that were upgraded and refurbished. I must talk about the cutting-edge CT scan at the hospital, ultrasound mammograms. We didn't know what that was before, and it's available. Dialysis, chemotherapy, neonatal testing for sickle cell, and you name it. Too many to mention now. I already mentioned a number of things under infrastructure. I just want to mention here, and join my sister in talking about the National Stadium, just to list the cruise ship port that was built under NNP, and a number of roads, Eastern Main Road, Western Main Road, city fences that were done under the new National Party. So, and several farm roads were done as well. And I mentioned the city fences because I know on the western side, certain periods of the year, you couldn't traverse just straight ahead. Sometimes when in rough seas, you have to wait until the wave broke, and then you could pass and then run again. And I know the city fences started under Uncle Gary, and I see Sister Callistra, you remember those days. And now you can pass lassos, different areas, crayfish. with pretty ease. And a lot of these sea defenses were done under the new National Party. As a matter of fact, for what I know, it was done only by Uncle Gary and the new National Party. A lot of that was done under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell when he was Minister for Work. So we must not forget these things. I have a long list, but I know my time is short, so I'm moving on to my last few things. We cannot talk about NNP's contribution without talking about resilience and recovery. We cannot forget Hurricanes Ivan and Emily. And that phrase, building back better after those hurricanes. And we performed, well, through God's grace, I have to say, a lot of things that people thought couldn't happen. It was almost like miracles to recover so easily and build resistance after that. And I just want to mention COVID, how we managed and how our tourism numbers bounced back, how we rallied as a country under the government to stop the growing number of deaths and the number of cases, and we were successful, thank God for that. But all of this calm that we experience now, we had a lot of turbulence, and so I think it's a good start. What I would really like to end with is to see our country, and it has to be done on a country basis. You see, this plan, this National Plan 2030, we must not trivialize it. We have to find ways to stop having ad hoc development and to have a national plan that reflects the desires, the input of Grenadians. And that plan has that. Maybe it needs some tweaking, I don't know. But it was a great initiative by the new National Party, and we must not forget that as we chart our way forward. Much has been done, but there's quite a lot more to be done. So I thank you.
Thank you, Madam. To Mrs. Emmeline Pear. Interestingly, when you mention about SGU, I do recall in 1976, as a young journalist in Grenada, attending a function of Sir Eric Gary with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Mervyn Daimali. He came here as the Lieutenant Governor of Southern California, a Trinidadian. He brought Mr. Modica here to meet with Uncle Gary to talk about SGU. And that is when the whole thing was revealed, and then he gave them the hotel on the beach in Grenada to start the school. So I happen to be privileged to be witnessing that. So, Madam Pear, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Shama. You forget me. Okay, thank you very much, Shama. And let me say a very warm good afternoon to the media represented here and those, of course, who are online. Okay. Yes, so recognizing the media, those present, particularly here and on the live stream through Zoom, I want to especially recognize you. And of course, like my colleagues did, I want to join and say happy 50th independence anniversary to all of our citizens. Of course, those who are here at home and those who are abroad someplace. There are so many Grenadians overseas. You deserve to be recognized today as well, as we say happy independence. I want to continue from where Dr. Mitchell would have stopped in terms of recognizing our Grenadians. And many of them, unfortunately, have passed on and did not get the opportunity to celebrate this 50. But so many people have made so many significant contributions to our country. Dr. Mitchell would have mentioned even those who we sometimes don't remember, the garbage collectors, for example, the cleaners, but we have our doctors, our nurses, our teachers, our public officers, businessmen and women, religious leaders in our society, and all leaders in various sectors. We want to say this afternoon as a new National Party how much we recognize and appreciate the service that all of our Grenadian persons, Dr. Mitchell referred to them as our unsung heroes, those who have contributed, we recognize you this afternoon. We also want to recognize all of our leaders, and I want to again pick up from where Doc would have left off there. And I want to just single out Sir Eric Matthew Gary, but also all of our leaders who have served in the position of Prime Minister of this country, whether it was Morris Bishop, Nicholas Brafitt, Hubert Blaze, Ben Jones, George Brizan, of course, Dr. Kit Mitchell, Tillman Thomas, those who have served past, we want to also recognize everyone for their contribution. But this afternoon as a party, we want to do two things. We want to, one, reflect on the achievement of our organization during those 50 years, which we have started to do. And also, we want to also recognize two of those leaders that we believe need to be specially recognized as we celebrate 50. So I'm talking one, Sir Eric Matthew Gary, also talking Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. When I count to the years, Dr. Mitchell serving some 23 years as Prime Minister of this country, and when you add the number of years post-independence that Sir Eric Matthew Gary would have served collectively, they served as Prime Minister for over 50% of the 50 years. And I believe that in itself deserves a recognition. So my colleague, Sister Clarice, would have made reference to education, particularly Sir Eric Matthew Gary, and I don't think repetition in this case would be bad. And I want to just emphasize that I believe his philosophy was very deep in that regard, and specifically to do with the rights of human beings, human rights, particularly access to education. And you could have seen that he definitely had a vision in this regard. So whether it was support, as she mentioned, for St. George's University School of Medicine, the support that was granted amidst all the odds, and all the naysayers who felt that this was the worst idea that one could have supported. You look at his support for construction of schools throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, particularly in rural communities, because I believe his vision was to ensure that no child was left behind, which is what we continue to promote today. No child should be left behind, and access to education is a human right. So we cannot speak education without remembering the contributions of the foundation. Not saying that no one else did anything for education thereafter, but the foundation, I believe credit has to be given to this individual. In addition to that, credit must be given to the foundation as it relates to tertiary level education. And I'm not just speaking St. George's University there, but I'm also speaking here about technical and vocational education. That was another passion. And not just at the level there, but if you come downwards one bit to secondary schools, you would realize that his vision would have transcended and would have moved beyond and promoting opportunities for particularly underprivileged students throughout our nation. And if you realize what has happened over the years, that particularly in the period of the NNP, a significant effort was made to build upon that. I also want to make reference to another area that I think deserves to be recognized at this time. While many parts of the world continues to grapple with women in leadership, if you look back again to the foundation and those early days of Sir Eric Matthew Gary, you would realize the number of women that he would have given an opportunity to make a very strong statement about women in leadership. So we speak of women like Nydia Benjamin, Waple Ned, Gloria Payne Banfield, Cynthia Gary, and so many others who would have had that opportunity to serve at the highest level. Mention was made of his social transformation program. So whether it was Land for the Landless and many other programs, we know and we can attest to the fact that he had a heart for the poor people, the working class people of this country, and he deserved to be recognized in that regard. I have said it publicly before, I am very shocked at the downplay of Sir Eric Matthew Gary's contribution thus far in the build-up to independence, and I'm very hopeful that come Wednesday there'll be something elaborate that is going to correct this. I look forward. I want to also use this opportunity, as I said today, the Prime Minister who has served longest in our country, I believe making the most valuable, significant contribution to the transformation that has taken place in this country, whether we speak in infrastructure, whether we speak in education, whether we speak in social development, whatever area or aspect of nation building, you would recognize, in spite of person's political preferences now, I'm speaking about what is the fact of our Grenadian history, that Dr. Mitchell would have led with distinction. And I want to single out another area that my colleague also mentioned, and that is the area of crisis. Leading in crisis tells a lot about a leader. And I believe that is the point at which one ought to make their greatest judgment of a leader leading in crisis. And his leadership through Hurricanes Ivan, Hurricane Emily, and his leadership during the COVID crisis. I mean, I do not believe that there ought to be another occasion to be able to judge the extent of his leadership and the magnitude of the contribution, the sacrifices that he has made for this country. And any celebration of 50 years, in fairness, ought to, in some way or the other, capture the contribution, as I said, not saying that we have to leave out all the other leaders, but those two leaders, I cannot see how we can celebrate 50 without recognizing the work that they have done during their period. So if you look back, and I did the comparison, looking at the contribution of Sir Eric Matthew Gary, the foundation, the vision, and I look at the life and service of Dr. Mitchell, and you can literally see a build upon what was started. You can literally see the vision continues to unfold. And I want to make this very fundamental point this afternoon, that in my opinion, this is what leading our nation should really be about. The achievements of the past, the things that worked well, the things that are great, we continue to build upon them. And that is the only way that our country is going to move forward. If we allowed political divide and preferences to cause us to ignore previous development and to ignore the opportunities we have to build upon what we have achieved, our country would find it difficult to move forward. So I looked at St. George's University and where it started. And I also examined the contributions that he made, the support that he has given to take St. George's University to where it is at this stage. I believe that is something that cannot be ignored and cannot be recognized. Today, Grenada, a small island like Grenada, providing doctors for countries throughout this world, that to me is a significant achievement. We speak of it when we speak about the contribution to our GDP. We speak about how important St. George's University is to our national development. Of course, we have to recognize that the enabling conditions had to be there for them to succeed in the way that they did. I also want to make mention here of the hundreds of millions of dollars invested under the Kit Mitchell administration for the construction and development, expansion of schools throughout the length and breadth of this country. Of course, building again on the vision, the legacy of Sir Eric Matthew Gary. And if I'm to specify here, if I look back, I am very clear that there has never been this size of investment in education as had been made under the New National Party administration. And I'm not just speaking here about infrastructural development. I'm speaking about all aspects of the education agenda. The introduction of technology and the creation of the enabling conditions. When we speak about digital education, you can't not speak about what happened during that period of service of the New National Party. Children being able to sit regional exams online. Children being able to attend classes online during a crisis. One ought not to underestimate that this New National Party has contributed and contributed its fair share to the development and transformation of the education sector of Grenada. The investment of hundreds of millions of dollars in scholarships, and I'm not just speaking here St. George's University, but students being able to go outside of Grenada to access an education. So much work has been done. And I remember those early days, Dr. Mitchell actually traveling from country to country. I had the, may I say, privilege to sit and listen to a Fidel Castro speech accompanying the Prime Minister at that time. He might not even remember. I was an officer in the Ministry of Youth at the time, and I listened to him beg for increase in scholarships so that poor, ordinary students of Grenada, students who come from rural communities where their parents could have never dreamed of them becoming a doctor, he was out there begging for increasing those opportunities. And of course, I remember Fidel in one of those engagements saying, that is exactly why we do what we do for the region. I also want to make mention this afternoon of the issue of skills training. And you see the vision coming from Sir Eric Matthew Gary, continuing again over successive government, and specifically when you look at the size of investment under the new National Party administration, the establishment of skills training centers within our schools, the establishment of centers for excellence, the introduction of CVQs in our secondary school in skills training areas, technical areas, even at the primary school level, the exposure of students to the basics, the fundamental, as it relates to skills training and technical development. Nowadays, you listen and you might think this is something new, but again, we go back and we look at all that has happened over the years, and we want to give this country the assurance that we would continue to support any form of development that has to do with people in our nation. I want to now turn to, very briefly, the issue of sustainable development. It is one thing to talk about the past, what we have been able to achieve. It is one thing to say that, many people have sacrificed and they have worked, given yeoman service. But it's another thing to look to the future. Where are we going from here? How do we build upon what we have achieved thus far? And my colleague and Sister Clarice Modeste Cowan would have reference the National Sustainable Development Plan. And I want to make an appeal here to our government that this plan should be considered as one of the main roadmap to Grenada's future. I consider it a plan by the people, for the people. And I don't want to sound revolutionary here, but this is a plan that I know the people of this country, and I want to commend those who led the process, throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, people went on the ground and solicited the contribution of various persons in various parts of our country towards the development of this plan. Our brother Peter David here represented our party as part of the development of this plan, and it included so many different stakeholders. But I just want to reference 3 of the goals of the National Development Plan. High human and social development. Vibrant, dynamic, competitive economy with supporting climate and disaster-resilient infrastructure. Environmental sustainability and security. And if you look at some of those areas, you would recognize that significant work had started by our party, and what you were looking at was a vision created by the people, supported by our party in government as to where Grenada was going to go 2030. And so this afternoon, as I said before, I want to encourage us to build upon what was started. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. We are going to save time. We are going to achieve far more if we acknowledge what was done, we recognize those who sacrifice, and we build upon it. Finally, it's an undisputable fact that during the period of service of the New National Party, the most has been accomplished as it relates to infrastructural development in this country. So when you talk about expansion various facilities, when you speak about construction of various facilities, you speak about the development of the road network throughout this country. Let's reflect. 50 years ago, what was it like? Traveling from St. George's all the way to St. Patrick's and back to St. George's. Let's reflect. Let us reflect on what that journey used to be. And so the investment in our road network is something that our government at the time felt was of significant importance, and so hundreds of millions of dollars was invested in that area. The construction of our cricket stadium that was referred to at one point as a white elephant, the construction of our athletic stadium. And if you go through the length and breadth of this country, you would recognize the significant development of our country in the area of infrastructure, right? If you go back, essential services, you talk about water to rural communities. You speak about electricity to rural communities. Remember the days when people had to literally take buckets of water from one area to another just to have a simple bath. And I'm sure our political leader and former Prime Minister can attest to his own personal experience. So this is how far back it went. So the development that took place in Grenada in terms of the infrastructural development, if you trace back, most of this took place, this transformation took place during the period that our party would have served in government. And this afternoon, we just want to say we are humbled by the opportunity that we had to serve. We are humbled by the contribution that we have made, and we stand ready always to continue to make this contribution to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Pear. And of course, our final speaker delivering for us at this time is Peter David. Mr. David?
Thank you, Shoma, and happy independence to you. Happy independence to everybody in the room. And I want to join my colleagues in wishing everybody a happy independence, happy 50th anniversary to Grenadians in Grenada and Grenadians in the diaspora. Grenadians in the diaspora outnumber the Grenadians here, so we must send and pay tribute to them. Also to thank all of those who contributed to our development throughout the 50 years since we've been independent. The father of independence, who much was said of in the press conference, Eric Matthew Gary, we have to pay tribute to him and his role, the role that he played in many things, including adult suffrage and many other, as somebody indicated, issues that were positive for the working class, working people of this country, for the local business community too, to Maurice Bishop, who played his role during the revolution, and we have the international airport, and continuing St. George's University, which Eric Matthew Gary started, establishing relations with Cuba and beginning the scholarship programs. I served also to all those I served with. I served with Maurice. I served with Honorable Tilma Thomas, who played his role, and I served with him many years ago. I want to pay tribute to him. I spent 5 years in his cabinet and to praise him, and to, of course, Dr. Mitchell, who I spent the last 10 years serving with in his cabinet, and to all of those throughout the history, the last 50 years, who have done much to get us to this stage. We didn't get here, as some of my colleagues indicated, by accident. And I am here today to speak mostly of my contribution as a member of the New National Party, because that is why we're here, to highlight our contributions to national development and the significant achievements that we have contributed to in many ways. You've heard my colleagues' contributions. I will make some contributions in the areas that I participated in mostly. But before I go in, one of the areas I participated was foreign affairs. I played a significant role in foreign affairs. And before we move into our contributions, I want to pay tribute now to the former president of Namibia, who passed on yesterday. I think that was something shocking to everybody, including our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, in the African diaspora I'm referring to now, to hear of his passing. He was a fighter for liberation of Namibia, along with Sam Nujoma and others, and his passing sent shockwaves through the African continent. And as we are about to welcome the Ghanaian president to Grenada, and I want to express our absolute welcome to him to Grenada, we want to express on behalf of the party, and for me, as a former foreign minister who've had much to do with the Ghanaian colleagues, wish them, express our deepest condolences to the government and to the people of Namibia. And that brings me to the question of foreign affairs. And one of and I think it was alluded to by my sister Clarice, who was also foreign minister, is Dr. Mitchell's role in bringing Cuba closer. I think I didn't understand his role until I had a meeting with a Cuban diplomat in Grenada in 2002, when he referred to the awarding of a Jose Marti award to Dr. Mitchell. And I said, why was that? At the time, myself and Dr. Mitchell were not colleagues. And he said his role in getting the Carriacou region to re-engage with Cuba was so significant for Cuba's development that they awarded him gave him the Jose Marti Award. And that has to be seen in the context of Cuba's contribution to Grenada's development. Because without that relationship with Cuba, the doctors, there'd be fewer doctors in the hospital. One of my colleagues alluded to the fact that many persons would not have been doctors today. My good friend, Dr. Modest, in discussions recently said she is not sure if she would have been a doctor had it not been for that relationship with Cuba, which Dr. Mitchell enhanced in a post-revolution period. So I want to pay tribute to that the role Dr. Mitchell played in bearing in mind Cuba's contribution to our development, getting Cuba back into the fold in the region. Remember, at the time there was intense pressure on Cuba, and it was a big risk to both visit Cuba and invite Fidel to Grenada. Big risk that he took, and I want to pay tribute to him for that. The other thing is climate change. Grenada played a significant part at the United Nations in climate change, and those are some of the issues that are benefiting us today. Resilience, referred to by my sisters here. And again, Dr. Mitchell played a significant role in that, and the NNP played a very significant role in that. As chair of the Association of Small Island States, our role in Carriacou. So it is clear that in foreign policy, Grenada, in the last few years, played a significant role. And in addition to that, maintaining the Caribbean as a zone of peace. I remember in recent years when the Venezuela issue was prime on the international agenda, where I joined a delegation to visit the United Nations in order to broker some kind of peace so that the Caribbean can remain a zone of peace. So in foreign policy, over the years and from independence to now, there's been a lot of developments. I am here today to say that we have contributed a lot by way of ensuring that our foreign policy is one that is tightly linked to our national development agenda. Another issue that I was very much involved in was CBI. CBI is something in recent years that people forget the initial years of CBI. The blows that we got for CBI, the fact that CBI was not something that was welcomed by most Grenadians, but Dr. Mitchell and the NNP was bold in making the step towards CBI, so that today, when you look at the contribution of CBI, Citizenship by Investment, to national development, we must pay tribute to those who continue that program and who continue that program up until this day. CBI has contributed to hotel development, the Six Senses Hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel, the Beach House Hotel, the Silver Sands Hotel, the Kiwana Bay Hotel, the Hideaway True Blue, the Point at Piti Calavini. All of these projects are in the country to help with tourism because of the CBI program and the boldness of the NNP administration that we are here celebrating today in getting a tourism industry where it is today. In addition to that, CBI is building the River Road project. CBI built the Monkuma Road project and many other development projects around the world. I want to compliment the CBI unit today for putting up signs indicating that it is CBI who is financing these projects, because I've always complained that CBI has not been sufficiently linked to the people in this country. And I say that about CBI to say that over the last 20, 30 years, as part of our national development, as part of our process of independence, because independence is not an event. You are granted independence, but becoming independent is a process that we are still continuing. The NNP, the GULP, the NGM, all have contributed. We are sitting here today discussing the role of the NNP in achieving the independence, and the role of Dr. Mitchell and my other colleagues here, the role of them getting us to a state of actual independence. Without CBI, we would not have achieved a lot of that. And this government, this present government, has relied heavily on CBI. In terms of agriculture, I want to also say that over the years, one colleague mentioned the program Land for the Landless, which gave some small farmers land to cultivate out of the big estates. Also, our development of the land policy. One of the difficulties we have in this country is the size of our land allocation given by Almighty. We only have about 80,000 acres, and we need a policy. And during my period as agricultural minister, feeding off of the periods of my sister, like the sister Clarice Modeste was also agricultural minister, my brother Roland Bula, we have done a lot to help to develop the land policy. There is a land policy there today, thanks to our work in the Ministry of Agriculture over the years. We have limited availability of land, and we must work with that properly. One of the issues that I want to address also is that of constitutional reform. We are granted independence. We got independence in 1974, but we needed to develop on our constitutional process to get to a real independent position. If you look at the development of the United States, they started the same way we started. They have evolved their constitutional process. We have to do the same thing. Several attempts were made by the new National Party to establish a new constitutional project. In fact, there was a speech given yesterday, I would ask everybody to listen to it, by the good Dr. Reverend Osbert James, where he spoke about the need for national unity. One of the things that I've spoken to over the years, in fact, me and my good friend Sister Modeste have always spoken about the possibilities of national unity. I believe, and I agree with what's his name, Osbert James, that we need to find a new construct in order to build our national unity. In fact, if you go back several years ago, the new National Party made two attempts to have constitution reform. They failed because we couldn't find a national consensus. I want to commend the new National Party. I want to commend Dr. Mitchell and others for having the boldness to approach the issue of constitutional reform. Because the fact is, without constitutional reform, we will continue to have a divisive society. I want to commend the fact that we attempted to go to the CCJ rather than have Privy Council. I want to commend the attempt to have electoral reform. I want to commend the attempts to move us closer and closer to real independence as we develop our society. And over the next 50 years, I do hope that the new National Party plays a role in getting that done. So I want to commend the party for these achievements, and just to mention something my sister here commented on, the national plan. We will not be able to move forward with our development unless we pay attention to our national plan. We, and I was proud to be a part of it, attempted and succeeding in developing a national plan. That national plan is sitting there. It is the 2035 plan. It was developed through consultation with all sectors of our society. We need to go back to it, and I want to commend all of the colleagues on this table, persons on the ground, persons who worked hard on that for the fact that we now have that plan, and we must refer to it. So again, I want to thank everybody who has contributed to national development. I want to say to everyone out there, happy independence. But I want to say that all of us, all of the persons who have contributed, all of the persons who have struggled over the years, that let us move forward. Let us move forward in unity. Let us move forward together so that we can evolve. Because independence is an evolving project to become a more independent, a more proud people. Happy independence. God bless Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter David. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we get back to the start, the beginning, and final comments from Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Shaman. Of course, listen, after sitting and listening the contribution of all my colleagues here today, I am quite sure I don't think I would ever hear anybody saying nothing happened since 1983 anymore. If they attempt to do that, they might bite their mouths. I don't think I would hear that again. Friends, I just want to add to what I said a couple of areas that I thought is extremely important that the party and the government of the NNP played that has significantly contributed to development of our country. Remember, we gave Sir Eric Matthew Gary tremendous credit for this boldness to establish the St. George's. It was St. George's Medical School. It was not a university. It was a medical school. Because it was the NNP government that built on the success of the medical school through the initiative of the Chancellor of the University, who came to us, and we decided that we need to move to a full-fledged university offering courses in arts and sciences so that thousands of Grenadians don't have to travel abroad to get a bachelor degree or other training that they deserve. Even veterinary school was established. So I want to make this point, because that point has not been made significantly enough. It was again the new national party that saw to it this. An area that we have taken for granted, this thing called rural electrification. I think so many times we sit and you hear little. There were some persons who played a massive role in this important service. We had a Grenlec electricity services then, which was not owned by government. The Colonial Development Corporation, CDC, owned it. And these workers, local Grenadian workers, worked with government in the 1980s. I was the minister then of response for public utilities. I could never forget the tremendous amount of work through all the terrains around the country, coming from 45% of coverage of electricity to 95% in just 4 years and a half. This sort of insignificant achievement, and the name of people like Barrel, the name of Dennis Campbell, the name of Gregory Boyne, who was then the manager. People don't know that history, and we must always remember as we talk about the last 50 years and significant contribution that some of my colleagues already made the point. The area of telecommunication, we're sitting here with a revolutionary piece of service. We had a crossbar system brought in by PRG when we came in 84. Crossbar was obsolete, but that was what it was about those days. We had to abandon this and move into the first digital telephone network in the entire Caribbean was established in Grenada. We forget this. And I never would forget when we decided to put the first system in Carriacou. Mr. Blaze said to me, if you do, the people in Grenada might get at me for putting it in Carriacou. I said, Mr. Blaze, you're the Prime Minister. When you go to Carriacou, we can't make contact with you. So the first part of the network of digital services of telecommunication with the digitized system was placed in Carriacou. These are issues, I believe, that we need to always talk about. the water distribution in the country. I was Minister of Water, and I used to have to come to St. George's with 2 buckets to fill up, to bathe and also to drink. That was this kind of system. And sometimes these things become so easy now, for granted. The people of Montmorris always say, for anything else, what they remember the NNP for is water. They used to get water once a week, and Wednesdays, even when rainy season, once a week in Montmorris. And they had to turn off all the water in Happy Hill, Brizza, and Boucherjou, and Grantmore, Fontenoy, so that the people in Montmorris, because of the height, the water coming. So there's some significant things that we take a lot for granted. And a lot of Grenadians who gave this, Mr. Tamer, and those I'm sure many of you who live in the town would remember Tamer, and a number of these people. They gave services and we forget them. I think we need to go back a bit and take out from the records some of the names of people that we tend to have forgotten. You know, in sports, the Theo Papitet, Redhead, these guys who have made tremendous contribution, we forget them. This is something that we must always remember as a nation. You know, I hope they won't forget me when I'm gone. I'm making a plea now for those of you who might still be alive. If I'm gone. So, but I won't depend on you, Kalishra, but it's important, colleagues, it's very important that we do that. You know, we talk about Gary a lot, but let me say this. I remember in terms of his politics, I broke with him because my parents were very strong Gary supporters, very strong Gary supporters. And when I ran against him in 1972, he wasn't very happy with that at all. I remember, you know, the history of this country is simple. You know who gave him the only little old car I had for this election? Was a man called Chesley David, with his son sitting here. He gave me, but we had to push the car all the time in the campaign. So the history of our country, sometimes we look back and we have to realize how far we have come, the things we have done. And I also want to talk about the fish vendor market. You know, we see these services, they serve poor people. I remember I have to go to the fish market to my grandmother was serving there. It's called a salsa. And I used to collect a little shilling from her to spend. And I used to be ashamed to go into the fish market with my white pants and white shirt from college. But it tells you what the history of this country. So when that place was built, I always remember my grandmother and the many vendors that serve in that market. Because these people made tremendous contributions. So every time I passed that fish market that was built during our time, I remember many of those people, those vendors that serve. And that's why we always have to remember those vendors who were treated shabbily by the present government at the Park, who were at Queen's Park, and now all over the streets in St. George's, trying to earn a living. And it's something that hopefully we can get back to look at these people. They are poor, but remember, God always said to look after the least among us. Something we must always remember. Some of us preach Christianity, but a lot of times we forget the basic tenets of Christianity that we're supposed to remember. So, as we close this important, and I call it historic, press briefing, I really feel that we did ourselves a tremendous service by having this, because it gave us, the people, a chance to hear from members, and the stories are much, much deeper. There are a lot more things that we have not said. In fact, the intention is that we should take some of the issues to the public soon, because people need to hear from us a lot more. Some of them have been saying, we're not hearing from you enough, we're not hearing from the party enough, because some of the difficulties they're experiencing outside there, they need to. I want to also give a lot of credit to those who served and came up with the national plan. And Reverend Osbert James literally did a tremendous service to that national development plan. I don't necessarily share his views that no political party should exist. In fact, I told him when he came up to me, I said, "You living in utopia?" He said to me, "Well, we have to learn to dream." And, it makes some sense. But the point is, I think he's challenging us, and we need to challenge ourselves for our future. And I therefore want to thank all my colleagues here for the special presentation we've delivered today, and to thank the media and all Grenadians, home and abroad, who have given service to this country, whether it's in sports, culture, politics, in the business community, all over the country. People have served, and sometimes some of them, the contribution have not been given the kind of credit that is I think we have a responsibility to raise that. This with your beautiful red outfit here today, and we thank you for. Callistra, we still have the gold top, right? We just want to say we thank you also, but your own female journalists, who are here with us, and all our journalists who are here with us, Mikey, and those on Zoom. We want to thank all of you for your presence here. Happy Independence, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Of course, we wanted at this time open the floor for the media that would probably have questions at this time. Callistra, you're in the room, so we want to give you the first opportunity. Yeah, Mikey has placed it there for you. And just to remind the viewers who are joining us at this time, this is a press conference of the new National Party. Of course, we're approaching our big 50th celebration on the 7th of February. And it is fitting that we look back at the number of achievements of Grenada from 1974 to this glorious time. Callistra?
Okay, thanks. Callistra Faria, the narrative. Dr. Mitchell, you didn't give us water because you know in Victoria, and you live there now, you know we always had water. But when it comes to infrastructure, yes, you did.
Residence, Callistra, don't spread propaganda. My residence is Happy Hill, St. George's. I have property in Victoria, and I go there often. But I live in Happy Hill, St. George's, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit
Don't go there. Don't go there.
No, that's an easy place to go.
You spoke about constitution reform, and the issue of one side not supporting because you're in opposition or you're not is a real problem for us achieving that. Should this administration, and the current prime minister in an interview with me when I asked, said that he would be wary of undertaking constitution reform at this time because he does not believe that he would be able to get the support, goes to referendum, a majority of the people, because it would come down along political lines. Should he be bold enough to undertake the necessary constitution reform that has to do with republicanism and so, would you, Dr. Mitchell, encourage your people, all 30-something thousand of them, or is it 40,000 by now, to support?
Hey, that's nice. So
to support that.
I know you could do a mathematics, you're good at adding. Oh, good.
Would you support republicanism? Would you support it, or would you allow the politics to derail it?
I answer this way. The NNP has always been consistent in supporting policies that are necessary and good for the country. We have never taken partisan position simply for cheap political purposes. We have always, our history is very clear. So if something comes up that is in the interests of the country, the NNP will not go out there telling people not to support it. That's our position, period. And that's been our consistent position. What can happen, I believe, the Prime Minister is to do. His party was the one that opposed things based on our coming forward with things that were basic and fundamental, like Reverend James said yesterday. opposing Carriacou and Pittymart and Grenada and the passport. So I think he first must talk to his party members, because they might have a difficulty with what he proposes coming forward, assuming, of course, it's not something to promote individuals, but it's something about the interests of the country. So NNP is consistent, and that's how I would answer the question in a broad sense.
Okay, I have one more question. Will you be attending, there's a joint sitting of the Parliament tomorrow, will you be attending that, and will you be attending February 7 celebrations on Wednesday? Will you be there?
NNP has always been present at the national celebrations. We have never boycotted. We never decide we're going to Cameroon Park to celebrate, while the national services celebration is held in Queen's Park. We have never, and that's my point, is NNP has never been partisan in national issues of that importance. The question of Parliament, well, there are sittings of Parliament. Sometimes I have been absent of Parliament sessions, so I wouldn't comment on this at all. You look tomorrow and see who is going to be there.
So because from this news conference, I got the impression that on the Eric Gary issue, that is a problem. He's not front and center in something he needs to be front and center. But I got the impression from all of the speakers that there's also a concern that you yourself and your very lengthy contribution towards national development is not being sufficiently recognized in this. So will you show your displeasure? And there is displeasure. I sat here and I listened for over an hour. Will you show your displeasure at this by not participating?
Well, it's good.
Boycotts are good.
It's
The media
good to hear you
boycotting
say
the other
there is
way.
displeasure outside there.
Displeasure here. I was talking about in the room. Yes.
No,
yeah.
I think I heard you say there's pleasure in general. So I take it that you mean, and you always talk the truth, so I'm giving you credit for this. So I'm just simply saying that we don't take positions just on personal issues. What our position will always be on a national issue, right? There's some issues that if I was thinking just Keith Mitchell, I would take a certain position. But when I'm taking Keith Mitchell in the context of the new National Party's policy and that of the interests of the country, I take different positions on certain issues.
But
Okay?
do you feel slighted, sir?
Well, no, I said people will talk about that. I'm
asking how you feel. Do you feel slighted?
Keith Mitchell is at peace with himself. I'm not erratic and old. So just say that Keith Mitchell is not erratic and not old. He feels good, you look, and you can see. So that's all I can say, my friend. I don't feel slighted by anybody. I'm at peace. But people may have difficulties, and they have that right. Okay?
So what's the purpose of this news conference then?
If I may, at this time, I think we clearly established the purpose of the press conference
Yes, I think so.
on numerous occasions. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Callistra, any further questions? We can give you the opportunity for one more. I think
Well-
Dr. Modest would like to respond to you here. If you
Sure.
But I mean,
go ahead.
No, I
go
just
ahead,
wanted
Doc.
to say Dr. Mitchell is at the center, and Dr. Mitchell has to embody the policy of the NNP. But I just wanted to say that there have been inconsistencies in terms of the involvement and what may have been said, was done or was going to be done and wasn't done. And we could spend time talking about that today. And you ask a very important question. What is the purpose of this? We, at this heightened time when people are looking at 50th anniversary and a celebration time, if we came here and started to talk about what we are unhappy about, I think it would sour the atmosphere. And our purpose is to share the journey. One people, one journey, and what's the last one?
One future.
One future. We want to share the journey of various leaders, various governments, because everybody don't know. I mean, half of our population is under 50 years. And we feel, I personally feel, and I think I reflect the sentiments of my colleagues here and our political leader, that enough homage, enough respect, enough recognition has not been done for some people, and it is mentioned here. But so although we mention, we may allude, but we do not think that this is the time to berate and to cry sour grapes, because We have too many good things that has happened in this country overall and that NNP has done. And so we just want, especially the younger folks, to know that good things have happened, because when you were born in a time where you see plenty, you think that is how it has always been. And we want to remind those who would have forgotten. But that doesn't mean that everything has been done well in these last few days, but we will leave that for another time and just be happy for what we have achieved overall as a nation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You did say you would spare me one more question.
Briefly, because we have a few people online.
Yes. What, Dr. Mitchell, we're speaking about national development and the image of the country, and this is going to appear as if it's off topic a little bit, but
let's try to keep on
indulge
topic.
Indulge me, please, Dr. Mitchell. In an interview on GBN recently with Colin Dow, you spoke of a very terrible organization being active in Grenada. It turned out ISIS. You talked about ISIS. It turns. Oh yeah, you did. You did.
Your mic is off.
I raised an issue that people were talking about, and I asked the authorities to investigate. That's what I did. I never said there was ISIS here. I said people are calling me, and I would be concerned. So I asked the authorities to follow up, please. And if it is true, deal with it immediately. If it's not true, then tell the nation. That's what I did.
Also, you had called the Prime Minister with such a serious concern. You'd called him up and said this is going on.
I made a statement on the public media, which is what you said, Calista.
Yes, you did. And no, I am listening to myself, Dr. Mitchell. Let's not go there.
Well, anyway.
But the bottom line is that you said what people took away was that one of the most powerful prime ministers, longest serving that we have. When you speak, Dr. Mitchell, for better or for worse, people listen, and a lot of people believe. The idea, the impression went out there.
All right, Calista, I don't think that the nature of this.
I'm asking Dr. Mitchell.
If I may, Calista, if I may, Calista, this press conference is a matter of the past that's been exhausted. And it is not something that we need to exhaust here this morning.
Let me just say, like,
no, Doctor, take care of this.
Let me say this. You seem to be preoccupied with Keith.
We don't need that.
We have 5 of us here. I mean, we all here. You could have asked anybody a question. But let me say this. I repeat, go and check your record. You are in the media. I never said ISIS was here. I made no such statement. Check your record. And if you're a media person, you must go and look at the statement made. And I can defend the statement. In fact, I was doing what I consider a national service to the government and to the people of the country. So I finish here. I will not answer any more questions.
Irresponsible rumor that you'd heard out there.
We thank you very much for your questions. We do have other persons online that would love to be. Time is against us. And we have someone online. Linda Straker is online. All right, we'll entertain Linda at this time.
Good afternoon to all. My question is a follow-up on the constitutional question. Well, maybe Mr. David or the former Prime Minister will answer, because Peter raised the issue of constitutional reform. With constitutional reform, in recent days, we have been hearing, and I've gotten articles from the former chairman of the Constitutional Reform Committee calling for a change in the oath of allegiance. Actually, it was one of the bills that did not get the yes at the time of the Constitutional Reform in 2016. If a bill was presented to the Parliament now, will the opposition members support the bill to have the oath of allegiance be changed? The argument from Dr. Alexis is that we do not have to go through a reform, but we can do it by simple majority vote in the House. What will be the NNP position if such a bill was to be presented to the House as part of our independence celebration, which is for 1 year?
Good afternoon, Linda. I think the question is an important one in the context of the overarching position of constitutional reform, because Dr. Alexis is making an important point. I think before I answer you, I want to pay tribute to Dr. Alexis, because he's one of the long-standing judicial luminaries, legal luminaries, who have tried to push us toward a more independent nation constitutionally. In fact, he headed a commission that was established by the NNP some time ago, and he was absolutely very disappointed when much of the things, particularly the CCJ, did not make it through the last referendum. So I think Dr. Alexis is now looking at incremental ways in which we can become more independent, and rather than swearing an oath of allegiance to Her Majesty the King, that we swear an oath of allegiance to Grenada, which is something that other countries have done. I cannot comment now on the substance of it on behalf of the NNP. What I could say with some certainty is that it will be considered by the NNP, because we agree with constitutional reform, and the evidence of that is having brought it before the people on 2 occasions. So yes, we think it's something important. We think Dr. Alexis needs to be listened to, because he's one of those in the Caribbean. He's taught most of the lawyers throughout the Caribbean, and it is something that we believe that issues like that must be addressed if, as I said earlier, the process of independence is to get better and better. So yes, we'll consider it, but I can't sit here today not having seen it and not having received advice, because I know there's another legal luminary who believes it can't be done the way Dr. Alexis says it could be done. So there are all of these issues we need to be briefed on fully, and I'm sure in the next couple of weeks we will be getting a briefing on that so we can make a more definitive statement, but we should take it seriously.
I just want to point out, knowing Dr. Alexis, as I think I know him, he himself wouldn't expect an MP to pronounce a statement, positive or negative, on an important and critical matter of this just because he said it. I think that's crucial.
Okay, Linda, any further questions from you?
My other question I should do. I did hear Dr. Modest said that this event is to talk about the journey of the NNP through that 50 years, and wanting people to be happy and do not dig into matters of concern. But I asked, though, for this celebration, we have been hearing, first of all, we were informed in the parliament that there is now 15 million. At one point in time, a few weeks ago, I was informed that each constituency MP would have received $10,000 as part of the celebration. Can the party or any member or somebody lead the way to say whether or not the opposition members indeed received $10,000 to assist with celebrations in their constituency? And on the other hand, if the $10,000 that was promised as part of the monthly allowance of MP, has that also started being received? We have just completed July. So I want to know about the two different 10,000. Is it 10,000 for as part of your regular allowance and 10,000 for independent celebration? Has this money been received, and what is the process of reporting on it?
As far as I know, no member of this the opposition team has received any such allowances. In fact, I checked with my bank a few days ago to find out what came in, and the report was $3,282 came in from me for the month of January. That's all I received. And I have to say this because there are some people who believe we get a lot of money. $3,282 came into my account as opposition member. That's important for me to state here. So I'm glad you asked that question. No, we have not received communication about those allowances, but certainly nothing has been finalized yet. I don't know if members of the government, ministers or senators receive such allowances. So I've seen some expenditure being incurred in certain places, even in my own constituency. So I don't know whether that's part of what was done for the government side, but certainly the opposition, I believe I'm speaking for everybody here, that none of us have received any such allowance. Okay?
clear. The opposition member has not received no 10,000 for independence celebration.
No, we have not received any. We heard.
And secondly, the increase in salary as announced in the budget, you are yet to see that reflective in your bank account.
Well, appears, I think people thought it was an increase, but it appears that it replaced what I was getting before. So maybe the government side gets increases, but for members of the opposition, it appears that it replaced what we were getting before. Because I think it's important. That's why I asked the bank to check to see what came in. Because
so nobody got $5,000 as an MP on their pay?
No, none of them have. You got 5,000? No.
Because I am aware that the leader of the opposition gets more than the MPs. So the 3,000, is this was your regular thing that you had last year?
Well, we have. I can't talk with certainty. All I could tell you, Linda, is what we receive, what I personally received. I don't know whether it's for a half month or for a full month. So I can't tell you that because the bank would not have that information. So that's where we are right now. So as far as I know, I did not get any additional $5,000.
What is the question about the 10,000 for the independence celebration?
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to emphasize this, and this is a very important question in my opinion, because I believe for all of us around this table, we have other persons who sit within the cabinet of Grenada who are sending individuals to our offices saying to them that we would have received $10,000 in support of activities for independence. My colleague here just sent to me this morning, someone would have come to him from the government saying that he received those monies. Let me just make this abundantly clear. None of our members here would have received any monies from the government up to this point as it relates to independence celebration. And as it relates to the constituency funds, the $10,000 received, let me make that abundantly clear. That persons are saying that we receive, let me make this abundantly clear, that no member sitting on this table would have received $10,000 from the government as allowances for constituency activities. So not the independence amount, not the constituency allowance. We have received nothing of this nature. As a matter of fact, we have some serious concerns as to documents that we've seen, and we await an opportune time to discuss those with the government and others concerned.
Linda, I just want to make a point. I think as responsible parliamentarians, I think we have a fundamental responsibility to insist through questions in Parliament to get a thorough, detailed examination from the government as to that $15 or $22 million which is alleged to have been spent for independence celebration, because you're hearing a lot of stories, and you know I'm one who passed through a lot of stories and accusations falsely. So I don't ever want to do the same thing to any member of government. But I think it's important that we ask questions and specifically and get information through the Parliament, and we will be doing so very shortly.
All right, thank you, Linda. Any further question from you? I'll give you the opportunity for one more.
Well, thank you very much. My other question has related. There are a number of activities. One is on tonight with regard to the unveiling of the commemorative note. Has the members of the opposition been invited to that event, and would they be attending?
I believe you received an invitation, nothing more than that. So I don't know. That's up to members individually to decide whether they go in or not. Why me alone? You're asking questions. You're not asking. Ask Kate. Ask Kate. Ask Kate.
This is not a love story here today. Yes, Linda. We're going to give the opportunity to anyone else. Leisha Paul, welcome. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My question is for Dr. Mitchell. As the longest serving Prime Minister in the last 50 years, what would you say was your biggest accomplishment in this during your tenure?
This just recently in a national program that I did with Colin Dow. He asked me to name three, and I did give three. And so I think you have the record there, my dear Nisha. So I suggest you just check that record. I'll just repeat the same things. Okay? All right?
All right, Nisha.
Okay, I have another question.
Hello.
Yes, I have one. I have another question. It's with regards to the LIAT issue. We're hearing that the former LIAT employees are calling on the government to assist them in getting the compensation money in keeping with the High Court judgment since 2001. Any thoughts? What are your thoughts in this on this situation?
When this came out, we were engaging the unions and other governments to see how we can aid and help. But there was no resolution. In other words, for this to happen, all the governments have to be involved. It can't be one government taking a position. So we in Grenada had agreed to do what we can because our citizens are being marginalized as far as their income is concerned. So we had that interest. In fact, I remember in one case when we were asked to provide some support and to help with this thing, Grenada gave $1 million, and most of the governments that had agreed, they didn't come up with their share. So we gave $1 million, and that was the end of the story, my friend. I think a couple others did, but I don't think most governments didn't.
All right. Hello, Nisha, do you have a final question? No? Anyone else online with a question? All right. Well, of course, we would notice that we've almost completed a very long session here this morning. Doc, I don't know if you have any parting remarks at this time, or any one of the other members?
I think this is an important session. I think we always said we need to continue to do in sessions of this nature. So I think it was the right time to do something like this. The 2 days before the 50th anniversary celebration date reaches us. So I just want to thank everybody and thank those who are listening and thank the members of the media. And of course the country as a whole for their support for the celebration of activities of this nature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All our listeners, viewers, wherever you are, we extend a happy independence to you and thank you for viewing this press conference here this afternoon. Thank you.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Mami! We celebrating 50 years as an independent nation. Such an occasion called for a big celebration. It is when Grenadians show their patriotism. Independence not the time for